All right, it's rolling. Richard, you have something to say.
So I had the fortune of having my nieces come down this weekend. We went to Legoland. I have a 7 and a 2-year-old niece. There is this thing. It is the third year in which there is a, Facebook has those days. It's Taco Day. It's Margarita Day. It's
Wait, aren't
sibling,
those every day?
It's Sibling Day. It's
Yes.
Divorced Moms Day.
Unofficial odd type things that aren't Christmas.
That people
It's
are
Embrace
celebrating.
Your Alcoholism Day.
Exactly.
Open the damn alcohol,
I've already
Sean.
opened it. Yeah.
Go ahead, Richard.
But we have these tiny bottles of. By the way, Todd, we have these tiny bottles of vodka back in the back if you would like.
As I told you earlier, I'm detoxing after too much drinking over the span of about 2 to 3 weeks. I think
2 or 3 weeks.
With vacation,
He just sobered up.
Vacation, going to Nebraska to see a friend on a fishing trip. I had way too much drinking.
You just go straight to rehab.
I seriously, I came home and I couldn't stay awake for a number of days. And Shelly's like, "How much have you had to drink?" He's like, "I couldn't even tell you."
Todd sweats. He wipes it off and just sucks it back.
Anyway,
so
holidays.
So there is an official holiday that some guy made up 3 years ago, but the second Sunday of every August is Gay Uncles Day.
Okay.
They're affectionately called Gunkles, Guncles, Gunkles. So my husband and I, took our niece, gunkled it up. We took our nieces to Legoland, and we played Mario Kart for the Switch. We made pizzas and all that kind of stuff, and we took them to Chili's, which was gross. And
why Chili's?
Because that's what my niece likes.
That's what they wanted to
have
get.
video games at the table.
No, that's cool. I get that.
So, and then we went to Mario's for dinner.
Of course.
Of course, we had to do that. And
they had how many shots after?
I should have had a shot. Because I will just say this right now. Children are the most disgusting germ factories I've ever seen in my entire life.
Hear, hear.
My nieces, my 2-year-old, grabbed a bag of Fritos, dropped them on the floor. She was walking around the house and then proceeded to eat them up off the floor.
Well, they're not going to eat themselves.
Right after that, she grabs Chris's phone and starts using it to play a game after licking her fingers from picking up Fritos off the floor. And it was just so gross. She sat on my lap for 5 seconds at dinner at Mario's, and I swear to you, she picked up a fork and put black beans in her mouth, and then put her hand in the middle of the black beans, and then licked her hand, and then put it on my tacos.
This is the 2-year-old?
Yes.
Okay, well,
she's trying to immunize you.
So, and I kind of threw this.
The 7-year-old is equally just as gross.
I threw this to you, and that is the initiation of parenting. You look at, you can love something absolutely beyond belief, and then you're like, God damn it, you're fucking disgusting. Anytime Abby with all her teenagedom, she gives me shit. I literally look at her and I think, okay, I remember the day that your mother called screaming from across the house. She's like, Todd! I ran in. She's like, I can't do it, which meant that it was a horrible diaper. Well, the kid was laying on her back, had shit, and it shot up out of her thing and out. And I'm like, you had shit in your hair. You had it everywhere. That's the great equalizer. I don't even want to listen to you. We as humans, small humans, are especially disgusting.
Oh, my gosh.
And you have to deal with Chili's all the time.
Oh, my gosh. Eleanor was like, the 7-year-old was like eating the cheese, and as she would eat the cheese, she would stick it in her mouth, and she would get her fingers completely and totally wet and then go back into the cheese. And I'm about to put that cheese on my pizza because we did a shared bowl. And I should have not done a shared bowl with the 7-year-old.
Right.
She's eating the mushrooms raw, and then she's mashing her hand on the pizzas. And I'm like, I am not having a slice of her homemade pizza. Like, it was just, I can't deal. I can't deal. Like, I have dogs, and I get it. You know, dogs, like, eat their own shit. Like, I understand that. I get it. I can, like, avoid it. I can't avoid the child touching my food and then touching somebody else's food and then falling on the floor and then putting her hand back in my food. Sorry.
It's a lovely, lovely thing.
I think Chris and I both have pink eye now. I'm pretty sure we caught swine flu and sepsis and everything else.
Well, what's the hepatitis between friends?
And what it was.
Well, the funny thing is all those things that you talked about, it's the Chili's that I'm like, yep, welcome to being a dad. When you said what the reason was, I can't tell you how many times Shelly and I was like, let's go out to eat. I want to go to Chili's. And we know why, because she wants to play a fracking game.
That's what it is. She wanted to play games at the table.
Yep.
She didn't care what she ate.
No.
She ate pizza. Who eats pizza at Chili's?
So what you do when you go to those is you find the 2 or 3 things that make you happy, and usually the 2 or 3 things that make me happy are the 2 or 3 beers that I have while my kid plays the game.
That's just
Daddy's liquid happiness.
I will admit we did have a couple of drinks, the
Yeah.
El Presidente margaritas, which were really not very good. So just because I'm riffing off of Chili's. Do you look at the Chili's menu? Like
when I go?
Yeah.
I'm about to say that means you have to be at Chili's.
So I've done it enough. Abby is 15, be 16 in December, so I've had 16 years of this that I know when I walk in I can order the seniors salmon. But what that means is they actually have a grilled salmon.
They bring you an old salmon out going, oh my God, finally you got to take me.
They don't put any sauce on it because I don't want all their fatty sauce and shit. And so I can order that kind of thing and not have to worry about it.
They're literally like, so I count macros when I'm not drinking beer on
One
a podcast.
macro, 2 macros.
You count.
3 macros.
Okay. Don't ever give him liquor before we do it in between. Anyway, you count what?
Macros.
Okay.
Macronutrients.
Macroeconomics.
Okay, how do I count a macronutrient? What am I looking for?
Fats, proteins, and carbs.
Okay, I count those too.
You look at, most people just look at calories, or they look at fat, or look at carbohydrates. Very few people look at all 3. Yep. So I count macros. So I have a ratio that I'm supposed to keep to maintain my body weight when I have intense workouts, things like that, and I have a percentage. So many carbohydrates, so many fats, so many proteins. And during the day, as I go through my meal, I will budget what I'm eating that day. And if I'm in deficit of one, I have to make up. I can't just not eat a deficit.
You can't come out negative.
But I also can't go over either. Sure, I could have that donut in the morning if I wanted to, but if it's going to cost me 12 grams of fat, then I've got to know later on that day that I'm having something that's not going to have that.
No avocado toast.
Right, exactly.
Right.
But anyway, my point is all those 3 macronutrients kind of come up to a caloric intake. You can calculate the caloric intake. I was so frustrated looking at the Chili's menu by just how bad
it's horrible.
Everything is. I mean, when you look at the minimum entree having 1,200 calories a day, for most humans, that's somewhere between a third to a half of their nutrients.
Right.
Now, Sean's a little taller, so he can do a little bit more. JJ's a little smaller, so she can do a bit less. But almost every single one of those entrees would have been half or more of my food for the day.
That's why I've gotten to the point that what I will do is I don't care. I'm 51 years old, and if somebody wants to knock me for getting the senior's meal, I don't care. The truth is I can get it, and it's a piece of straight grilled fish. Okay, at least I ate. And at least when I've checked it, because, and I've said this to you before, I've used Weight Watchers for years, and that, it checks fat, carbs, sugar, and one other thing. I think are their big things, but the same kind of thing. And I know that. You literally have to prepare yourself to eat at places like that because
you have to plan ahead. Yeah,
sucks.
But you can eat
if you research ahead.
You can eat the burger and fries and be fine. You just have to plan the rest of your day around that kind of thing. That becomes your meal. Right.
You just have to plan for it.
Or you kind of have to work through stuff around you. But it's no wonder that Americans are having issues with their waistline because that's the kind of meal that you encounter all the time. Right. And I'm not saying you have to eat a salad. I don't necessarily believe in eating salad. I don't eat salads personally.
Well, you think about people that go to McDonald's and get a salad, and those salads are just as unhealthy as everything else. Well,
you put the dressings and the cheese. So it's funny you mentioned this because I had the discussion with somebody when I went on this fishing trip. We went out and caught a lot of fish, and that night there was a fish fry, and I had a couple of pieces of fried fish, but I also was infinitely pickier. I didn't have a full plate like everybody else did. And they're like, well, can you eat that? I'm like, to what Sean said, I can eat anything I want.
Right.
What I have to understand is if I do this the rest of the day, I need to be figuring out how it fits with that.
Opportunity cost.
And so I said to them, and the guy was like, well, I don't want to have to think like that. It's like, hang on, let me ask you a question. Do you get paid? What, bi-weekly? Yeah. So with your money, do you have to think, if I want this shirt right now, can I pay my bill? Do you ever have to think about I want this new TV. Can I get it and pay for my car? Same thing. Same way of thinking. It's just as
food. Yeah.
You have to be like that.
And it's one of those situations where we have the fortune, unlike budgeting for a week or a month or whatever, our bodies kind of reset day after day after day.
Right.
So you can go, and this is what I do. We will sometimes go to Mario's, which you just mentioned, and I'll have nachos, right? Nachos is cheese. fried chips, and some protein.
Right.
But when I look at that meal and I look at what I want to have, I will have those nachos, but I will modify my meal earlier in the day so that I'm not having fat earlier in the day.
Exactly.
I recognize that a little bit of cheese and a grilled chicken breast on top of nachos is not my full protein. So my protein will be higher in the day than it is at night. Since I'm specifically using cheese and just a few chips,
right,
carbs are also typically lower as well.
Right.
You know, I'm having I've had 2 beers this evening. I've budgeted for these beers to have today.
I'm sorry. There's somebody at the door that the little girl wanted to come in and buy something. She's heartbroken.
But there's nothing wrong with having a crazy meal and getting silly and eating what you want. I'm not judging that.
No, but to your
okay
point,
to have splurges.
And having a weekend. I've done that before. Like if you're having a holiday, you can still have your wonderful, fantastic day,
right?
Or 2. You just got to climb back on that horse 2 days later.
You got to realize what you're doing. Yeah.
I've always been the fortunate person that every day I'll eat the same damn thing. I don't need variety of it. I know that in the morning, if I have my very particular high fiber type stuff for breakfast and things like that, it's not going to weigh as heavy as the rest of it. And then I'll leave my evening open and I can have a little more leeway. I don't think most people want to think like that when it comes to food. They simply
don't make it hard. Make it salty and greasy and fatty so that it tastes good to me.
What takes care of an empty stomach and gives me pleasure so that I can go back to my office and not hate my job.
Right.
It ties into that too much.
But
I think you have to divorce those thoughts to an extent.
I tend to be more of a dinner person than I am a breakfast person.
I am too.
So I really don't see why more of us can't go, okay, I'm having tacos for dinner. I'm a little crazy with the avocado, and I'm going to have some beers.
Right.
I will probably, only eat a couple of certain types of things in the day.
Well, my
breakfast will be maybe a very simple grain cereal and some non-fat Greek yogurt. There's your protein and some complex carbohydrates without a lot of fat. And therefore, your evening can be whatever you want.
Right.
I'm just kind of surprised we don't kind of think about those things as you would a budget.
Well, I think that as well.
The breakfast is the most important meal a day is just a myth too. That's just made up by, I think Kellogg's, who was trying to get people to stop masturbating by eating his cereal.
What?
You don't know about? Oh, go look it up.
Hang on.
Yeah,
what?
Record scratch. So, the whole Kellogg's cornflakes was supposed to be something that helped you stop masturbating.
Son of a bitch, I'll never buy that again.
You're kidding me.
I'm not kidding. You look up Kellogg's.
Is that why they're frosted?
Hey, that's why they're great.
You win.
But I'm kind of like to the where I don't eat breakfast. I can pass on lunch. I'm kind of like that where I want to do that 16-hour fast and then 8 hours you eat whatever you want to. That's kind of where I'm getting to.
So
I can't do that. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I can't.
It's okay to be hungry. It's not okay to be starving. But missing 2 meals doesn't mean you're starving. It just means you're hungry.
It distracts me. And I get to the point where I'm like, okay, I need something.
Right. Even when I have those big meals, I still take, whatever I'm eating, the protein or carbohydrates that are left, I will still mix them up over the day so that I'm kind of eating them throughout the day as opposed to just being hungry. What was I going to say about those? One of the things that I discovered doing this kind of macro counting, and I've been doing it for about 2.5 years now, and I lost about 18 pounds to kind of rip. I wasn't overweight before. I just did it to kind of lean out and kind of figure out if it can help my performance in CrossFit. And it really did. One of the biggest things that I learned about this macro counting is how important that budget is to you. And it's not about when you eat or what you eat, so long as you stay within that budget.
Okay.
I could have a pound of chocolate, so long as I balance that with whatever proteins and carbohydrates I needed to have to satisfy my pound of chocolate a day diet. Like, it didn't matter. I could have donuts in the morning, every morning if I wanted to. I could have beer every day if I wanted to. I could have nachos every night if I wanted to, so long as I balanced the rest of the day with whatever I wanted to have.
Right. I've always been lucky from the aspect when you talk about a pound of chocolate. I don't like chocolate, but what I'm lucky, and if my wife drinks a beer and she goes and weighs the next day, she puts on weight. Beer does not affect me for whatever. It just doesn't. I can look at my weight. I can have 3 to 4 or 5 beers, and it won't be a discernible difference.
Drink. drink.
No, I'm doing that simply because I couldn't sleep. I was so intoxicated after a couple of weeks. But what kills me are things like I love potato chips, and I don't have discipline to stop myself. And so
It's hard. You know, those easy to go to foods are hard to, because once you start,
That's exactly it.
Unless